What sparked you to get into politics?
Well, some of my greatest mentors were political men who worked either in the field of politics or were politicians themselves. My pastor, my mentor, Frank Peterman Jr., I think he was mentored by his father, who also had worked in political realms and fields and ran himself. Actually, he was, I think, one of the first African Americans to run for the Florida State House of Representatives. And so Frank Peterman and Ken Welch and Darrell Roussan, it was men like that who took me under their wing, gave me an opportunity to volunteer on their campaigns when I was in high school and in college. Got my first taste of politics serving in the student government at Florida State, and then also at USF. And next thing you know, here I am writing papers covering the beat for the St. Pete City Hall and also the County Commission. Next thing you know, I'm running for second vice president of the NAACP. Fast forward 9 years, here I am now getting ready to be sworn in as the youngest city council member in the city of St. Pete.
Congratulations. And I know that it's nothing but the Lord that has brought you there. How did you come to know the Lord, Corey? When did you accept the Lord, your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, as your Lord and Savior?
I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior on June 6, 1998. I will not forget it. I was 6 years old, and my grandfather and I extended the right hand. Well, we were extended the right hand of fellowship by Pastor J.L. Fennell and Reverend Alvin Moore at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. I'll never forget it. It was on a Father's Day, and that was the day that I joined the church. And I like to say that the church was always in me all along, like Timothy. My mother and my grandmother, they were always in the church, and so that's where my life started. I like to say that my first taste of public speaking was in the church with those Easter and Christmas speeches. That's really where I honed in on my public speaking skills, in the church, and I accepted my calling to preach the gospel in 2018 at the age of 24 years old.
Oh my goodness! So you're also intimate in ministry. How long have you been in ministry?
Since 2018, I accepted my calling to preach the gospel, and I've been an itinerant preacher ever since.
Excellent. So what are some of the places that you've actually served as served as a pastor?
I have served in the youth ministry at Rock of Jesus, at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, at Travelers Rest Missionary Baptist Church. Currently, I serve at Suncoast Assembly. I have had the opportunity to serve as a missionary in 4 different countries in Africa, also in the Middle East, as well as in South America. So I've had the opportunity to preach the gospel to all nations.
How was it when you learned the difference between the love of ministry and the business of ministry? Because every organization is set up totally different. And you spoke about being at different churches, and sometimes people don't really know how to separate the two and understand the business of ministry and then the love of ministry. Can you talk about that a little bit?
There's a thin line, I think, between the business of ministry and just the love of ministry, right? With the business, you think with your mind. With the love, you serve through your heart. So for me, it's always been about that agape love, that unconditional love. How can I be a blessing to someone who can't bless me back? Those are always the ministries that I've tried to be a part of. That's why I served in, the food pantry ministry, the clothing closet ministry, or just the street ministry, just getting out there evangelizing. I've always believed in connecting with people. That's the way you draw people to Christ. You have to find something, some common ground, something that we can connect with. There's more that unites us than what divides us. So I think the justice ministry, and that's what the Christian ministry has always been about me, is justice, right? He commanded us to love mercifully, walk humbly, and that's what I try to do.
That is excellent. So are you dating? Are you married? Are you engaged? There's some women that are going to be watching this, and they're going to want to know if you're an eligible bachelor. So
I am St. Pete's hottest bachelor right now.
Yes, you are. You have a lot going for yourself. You're in ministry, and you are also now the newly elected and going to be sworn in when?
January 2nd, 2025 at 11 a.m. on the steps of City Hall.
So happy to hear that. And like I say again, congratulations to you. What are some of the things that have helped you to stay grounded in your race and campaign? And tell us a little bit about your first campaign and how that went, and some of the hurdles some of the things that you learned along the way. So your first campaign, open us up to what made you run, How did it go with filling out the paperwork, finding the paperwork, and then some of the people that were involved?
Well, obviously, this is not my first race. I have done this before. I've taken some losses and I've stumbled, made some mistakes. But what I did was learn how to recover, right? I got involved in my community. I started serving on various boards. I earned the trust of people in my community. And I showed them that I'm not just here for the politics, but I'm here to help the people, right? It's always going to be people over profit for me, people over baseball for me. And so that's why I ran, was I saw so much focus on Tropicana Field and on the Rays, and all I could do was think about the people in this community who were perishing. And I believe what the word tells us, that people perish from a lack of knowledge. And I see me as a catalyst for change in my community. The responsibility on me as a preacher is to deal hope to a hopeless community. And so when I filed to run for city council at the 11th hour, the day before the filing deadline in June of 2024, I did so after much prayer and consultation. I was called not just by my family, not just by this community, but I was called by God to run for this seat.